Have you ever wanted to get deeper into the lore behind Warhammer 40k? Have you cracked open the Black Library already and have started reading those sacred tomes, and you are wondering which are the top 3 series that you should read? Well, I'm here to help you with that. Number 1. I had to start with this one because it was the first and only. That's right, Gaunt's Ghost book series, which you can get on Audible. You can also get it in Kindle. I think there's still paper copies floating around out there as well, because they keep reproducing it, they keep reprinting it because it is that popular. First and only, the first book in the Gaunt's Ghost series was the first and only book produced by the Black Library at the time. It's the granddaddy of granddaddies. It's the one that kicked off the whole thing, the one that was so successful that Games Workshop said, let's do some more of these. Now, Gaunt's Ghosts does start off with the problem that Dan Abnett didn't really know what he was writing about at the time, because he'd never done any of that sort of thing before. In the first couple of books, it kind of shows in a couple of places, particularly if you're a lore master. If you're not a lore master, you won't notice it anyway. And on the interwebs, there are a couple of people that might complain a tiny, teeny little bit about the first couple of books in the Gaunt's Ghost series. Early books, early days, don't worry about that. The reason why Gaunt's Ghosts, the whole series, and there's a lot of books to get through now, is highly recommended, is because it's one of those series that gets better, and then the next season gets better, and then the next season it just keeps getting better. And there's a second warning I have to give you. When they first started releasing the Gaunt's Ghost audio books on Audible, they started with Salvation's Reach, which is like book 13. So book 13, book 4, if you were to start it now, it's narrated by Toby Longworth, and all of us that love the Audible things know that Toby Longworth, Jonathan Keeble, 10 out of 10, top drawer narrators, the kind of narrators. See, the difference between a really good narrator and a good narrator is the really good ones sound like they're telling you a story, like you're sat round a campfire and they're telling you this story. The good ones feel like they're reading you a story. Anyway, Toby Longworth, Jonathan Keeble. Anyway, Toby Longworth or Jonathan Keeble, one of them narrates the whole thing, but they didn't start there. They start with some other fella, Salvation's Reach, and he does book 13, book 14, and then it goes back, because that's when they started narrating the series. They decided to start halfway through, Games Workshop, when they released the thing. Anyway, so if you listen to it now on Audible, be prepared for that jump after 13 books in, for it to flip and then go back again. I would recommend, however, actually getting the paper book series omnibus, which comes out in, the first one's called Saint, the second one's called Victory. They're not called this at all, but 1 minute. The Founding, the Saint, the Lost. Get the anthologies, because in the anthologies they've also squeezed the short stories that have been released in the thing. If you just get it on Audible, you miss the short stories. There's been a bunch of different short stories that have been released in the Gaunt's Ghosts universe as well. So recommend reading them. It's just so good. Warning number 3, however, these are humans. These are Imperial Guard in space in the 41st millennium. And I don't know if you know, but it's a bit grim in the dark. So the warning is, don't get too attached to some of your favorite characters, because a lot of people die in this series. And Dan Abnett just sprays it like an Uzi. He'll hit good guys, he'll hit bad guys, he'll hit heroes, he'll hit villains. Lots of people die. There's watershed moments when you go through this series, which is one of the reasons why it is so good. So definitely give it a chuckle, even if one of your mates 10 years ago said, well, I've read the first couple of books and it's okay. Ignore that, because it is better than okay, and it keeps getting better and better and better. That fella, he's never been to Vervenhive or Geryon or Hinza House, the haunted house at the end of the world. Dan Abnett takes you to some awesome locations with some awesome guardsmen and puts them in positions that you would have never expected them to be in. And if you like the Guard, or if you're an Imperial fanboy, you'll love Gaunt's Ghosts, and by the end of it, you'll probably end up collecting a Guard army. Not Astra Militarum, you're in the Guard now, son. I personally guarantee you, you'll love Gaunt's Ghosts, sure as sure. Number 2. Now, as an Imperial fanboy, I tried to resist this one forever. I would read Xenos things, I'd read anything to stop me from reading any Chaos stuff. I didn't want to delve into the Chaos stuff, but the noise around this trilogy was so loud, I relented. And it is, of course, the Night Lords Trilogy by Aaron Dembski-Bowden. Now, one of the reasons why I resisted this is because Night Lords. I mean, who likes the Night Lords? These guys, they're like skinning kittens. They're like skinning kittens, then putting it on the internet and showing all the other planets, look, you have to surrender, otherwise we're going to come and skin your pussy as well. And I'm a cat owner. I love a bit of pussy. Anyway, who could possibly humanize the murdering psycho-sociopaths? That is the Night Lords. Well, Aaron Dembski-Bowden came to the rescue. He's the answer, and OMG, it is so good. It's one of those series that I've got on the Kindle and I've also got on the Audible. They're both good. You can either. They're both good. If you like painting, Kindle is a thing. I've got them both because I like reading when I'm on holiday, and I've read a couple of times. But painting in the background, you can't paint and read on the same time. That's why I've got it on both. It's good, okay? Don't judge me. But yeah, I think one of the reasons why I like it so much is because it actually humanizes them. Another reason why I like it so much, being an Imperial fanboy, is there's a lot of chaos on chaos action in it. It actually humanizes them quite a bit. It centers around this war band. They run out of fuel, they run out of ammunition, they run out of penguins, they have a terrible time. What it's actually like in the 41st millennium for a bunch of Chaos guys floating around. It answers some questions like 10,000 years. That's a very long time to be floating in space. Surely they're a bit... No, it answers that question. Time dilation, things move differently for them. It ends, it brings... It's good, it's good. Check out the Night Lords Trilogy by Aaron Dembski-Bowden. It even converted this Imperial fanboy and the number of Night Lords armies that exist to this day. I mean, Games Workshop should really pay him shares because the amount of people who have told me... Anyway, get that one. Number 3, now I could say go and listen to or read the entire Horus Heresy series. And I would say that, but there's another one that you actually have to hit first. And we're going back to Dan Abnett. We're going to the Eisenhorn Trilogy. It's just very good. I mean, one of the things that Dan Abnett and Aaron Dembski-Bowden share in common is they both write very compelling characters. And Eisenhorn and his little party floating around him, very compelling. The gun cutter that they're in, very compelling. And one of the reasons why I'm recommending this series above many others is because it's not bolter and chainsword warfare. They're not in the trenches. It's not Space Marines. It's not frontline fighting that we used to get in most of the books most of the time. The Eisenhorn series takes place behind the curtain. It takes place on worlds. It takes place with humans. It involves the PDF. It involves commissars. It involves mainly the Inquisition and the forces of chaos. But it's take a look behind the curtain sort of narrative. You get a real feel for how certain Imperial worlds operate, and you get a real feel of that radical Puritan division that runs through the Inquisition, and how it's really hard for Inquisitors not to fall to the dark side of the Force eventually. Mind you, Ravener doesn't. Anyway, by the time you finish Eisenhorn, you'll want to do the Ravener trilogy, and then there's the Pariah trilogy, which at the time of recording there's only 2 books out yet. We're still waiting for book 3, Pandemonium, please Dan please. It's also a good book to start with if you're unfamiliar with the whole of the 40k lore, because essentially it's a detective story. The Inquisition are detective sort of police, FBI, open up. They're kind of, you know what I mean? It's humans behind the scenes uncovering cases, solving crimes, getting out the magnifying glass and finding clues. I've recommended it to a few friends and girlfriends of friends who have got no clue about all this 40k shenanigans, and they have very much enjoyed themselves. There are twists and turns aplenty, there's sacrifice, heroic sacrifice, there's Warhound Titans shooting and things, there's a demon host doing it's just absolutely epic, 10 out of 10. Anyway, those are the 3 book series that I think you absolutely should read if you want to get into Warhammer 40k lore, Black Library series, because they're easier and more approachable than reading the entire of the Horus Heresy. But honourable mentions, the entire of the Horus Heresy. I mean, starting it to ending it, why wouldn't you? If it takes 5 years of your life, then that's 5 years of your life that you can enjoy a lot. People watch football and golf, and I don't know why, and those things last for more than 5 years. They never end. Other honourable mentions: the Watchers of the Throne series by Chris Raitt. Only 2 books so far, set around the time of the Great Rift, before, after, during the Great Rift and the coming of Guilliman, set on Terra. The Watchers of the Throne, very good, recommended. Standalone books: The Lion, Son of the Forest, or The Fall of Cadia. That was epic. That made me cry a little bit. The bit at the end when the guardsmen are packing dirt into empty magazine cases so they could take a little bit of Cadia with them. The Great Work with Belisarius Cawl. That's an outstanding book. I could go on with many recommended. There's lots of fantastic books out there, but those 3 series, they'll get you juiced up, they'll get you going, and probably collecting a Night Lord's army, or a Guard army, or an Inquisitorial warband. And they're fairly contained, and you can read them or listen to them fairly quickly, and they're available on Kindle and Audible right now. So that's go. Great painting material. Other good ideas for painting materials is listen to a battle report by Winters SEO while you're painting away. Anyway, those are the recommendations from me. What do you think? What does the community think? Comment in the comment section below. What are the best book series that you've ever read or listened to? No spoilers, please. Or what are the best standalone books that you would recommend? It's one of those questions I keep getting all the time. Give me a standalone book. Where should I start 40k? Where should I, you guys know, write in the comment section below. Thumb up the ones that you think are the best suggestions. Do the whole of the Horus Heresy. I mean, yes. Anyway, thanks for listening to this video. Happy wargaming.